So Spatha is a modern combatives and self-defense school. Some of the things that sets us apart from from other schools and from other self-defense schools are that we're not a traditional martial arts gym that has tried to shoehorn self-defense in to kind of build more revenue and grow our base. We're not an MMA gym, we're not a sport gym. Combatives, self-defense, personal combat are our primary focus. In addition to that, some of the other things that set us apart is that we integrate hand-to-hand, knife, stick, and gun as an overall program. We have different modules of training because not everybody's interested in those things, but we feel that any training has to kind of integrate all of those things together. We are further set apart in that we are goal-oriented and results-driven in our training and strategies, as opposed to being focused on a particular martial tradition, specific techniques or modern technique, for example, or even a set dogma. Some of those principles that set us apart include things like, lots of stuff happens before the fight occurs. There's lots of stimulus that we see, things that are coming in that we need to pay attention to, and lots of things can occur before that fight breaks out, before the gun or knife comes out. And so we teach our students to be aware, specifically, what to be aware of, how to grow that awareness. We also teach the brilliant plan of avoidance when possible, right? We know that fighting is very expensive. We know that fighting can harm us financially, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and our families. So we're big on the awareness and avoidance where it makes sense. We're also big on de-escalation. In many instances in our modern world, before a fight breaks out, before the gun or knives get drawn, there is some type of escalation process. There is something going on. And so we teach our students to be able to de-escalate the situation, and we argue, obviously, just like Sun Tzu, that victory without violence is best. We also promote the idea that our strategies, our principles, and our techniques need to be modern. And what I mean by modern is they need to work in our modern world with the modern equipment that we carry. I know lots of guys, and I'm very interested in Eskrima myself, they get into the minutia of specific techniques and disarms. And don't get me wrong, I love Filipino martial arts, but much of what is taught now is not effective from a self-defense or combat point of view. In addition to the techniques and strategies that we've already mentioned, our primary strategy is kind of a three-point strategy, and it's informed by a proven three-point strategy. Thousands of years ago, there was a dude named Julius Caesar, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, and when he was involved militarily in what is now Spain and Italy, he wrote a bunch of memoirs or books about the wars he was involved in. And he identified what he called the threefold advantage of the Roman. And those 3 points included the quick seizing of decisive points of advantage. That was number 1. Number 2 was the entrenchment of his defenses or camps, which the Romans had, right? They had a camp that they set up every day and broke down every day when they left. And then last but not least was to disrupt enemy communications. And so we take that proven concept, or those proven concepts, and we make them a little bit more appropriate for us fighting as civilians or as individuals or even law enforcement when many times they find themselves alone. But the strategy is now, still following that same model, the seizure of strategic points of advantage, okay? That can include, for example, in a grappling fight, in a ground fight, that can include the mount, okay? In a gunfight, a point of advantage can be behind good cover and concealment. So, number 1, seizure and maintaining of advantageous points or decisive points. 2 is the continued maintenance of that point and entrenchment. So what I would mean there would be with grappling or with maybe hand-to-hand fighting, maintaining that forward momentum, right? Maintaining that advantage, not giving it up, making sure that you're defending your position. And then last but not least, we don't have enemy communications to disrupt, but we do have an enemy or the person that we're fighting to disrupt. So we want to disrupt and injure and damage that enemy every time that we're moving, every time that we're touching that enemy. So those are the three prime strategies that we use in all of our training. These strategies that we discussed work for hand-to-hand, right? Empty fighting, empty self-defense. They work for weapons, guns, knives, sticks, and they are what we feel is a very positive strategy to kind of mold our thinking around. In addition to our threefold strategy or threefold principles, we teach our fighters to be goal-oriented, okay? Goal-oriented in their self-defense, in their combatives. And the specific goals that we're talking about when we talk about being goal-oriented is, for example, the goal of combat or self-defense is to stop or destroy the threat, right? Stop or destroy the threat. Now, I could stop or destroy that threat by removing myself from the area, okay? That would stop the threat. And we argue that if we can get away, then that's worthwhile. But for the most part, when we talk about destroying the threat, we're talking about closing in and engaging with the threat to stop them. In addition to the goal of combat, we have some goals that we're trying to make happen during combat, okay? And those goals are, first and foremost, deal with any incoming threat or attack, okay? Deal with any incoming threat or attack. 2, we want to create distance or time or opportunity, okay? We're creating distance to buy us time, maybe to get access to a weapon, get access to a better weapon, get access to a better position, or to get away, okay? And then last but not least, we want to close with, engage, and destroy the threat. Now, with that said, we understand that if we can get away, if we have an avenue of escape, we will take it. But for the most part, we're assuming that we do not have an avenue of escape. So those are the three goals that we're concerned about. Deal with an incoming attack, right? Create time, distance, or opportunity. And then last but not least, close with, engage, and destroy the threat.